Andrew Gwynne has stepped down as the MP for Gorton and Denton on medical grounds. That means we have our first announced Westminster by-election of 2026, which is a big moment for not only the Labour Party but Reform and the Greens as well. So let's get straight into the odds without any further ado. Labour are 4-6 to win the Gorton and Denton by-election. Reform are second in at 6-4. The Greens are third in at 11-2. All the data tells us that only these three parties matter. You can get 100-1 on the Lib Dems, the Workers' Party, and 200-1 on the Tories. The main story everybody has been talking about today in relation to this has been whether Andy Burnham will stand for Labour. This is the last chance he has to be in Westminster before the local elections. That's seen as important because the local elections are predicted to go so badly for Labour, according to the odds in the polls, that Keir Starmer will face a leadership challenge then. If you're not in the Commons by that time, you wouldn't have a chance to lead the party into a general election in the future. That's the wisdom, at least amongst most of the people who are watching these markets like myself. Now, Andy Burnham would take a lot of beating in a seat like this, but it wouldn't be a complete cakewalk. The MRP data, and I'm focusing on the most recent two from More in Common and Electoral Calculus, has Reform as the projected winner. Which firm you look at actually changes the hypothetical result a lot. Now, I must warn you that this field work was taken before the new year. It of course doesn't account for any of the candidates being named. It's hypothetical, but Reform were on 30% with More in Common, Labour on 28.3, the Greens on 23.1, the Tories on 8.7 and the Lib Dems on 7.7. I'll circle back as to why those two parties are quite important. For Electoral Calculus, Reform win easily, 32.8 to 23.6 for the Greens, with Labour on 20%, the Tories on 9.9% and the Lib Dems on 4.6%. So you have two scenarios, one with an easy Reform victory, one with a very tight contest. But again, names will have a big impact. Our price doesn't account for Andy Burnham potentially standing. It's a catch-all price at the moment. If he was to declare his intention to get onto the ballot, he would be shorter. But Reform will launch plenty at this by-election. They've been on the rise in the last 18 months. They've already taken what was considered to be a very safe Labour seat from the party. Don't forget Runcorn, and they will have a big name, presumably, ready to go. Who actually stands for them is going to be a really interesting thing to look at. There have been a number of high-profile defectors, as you'll know, recently to Reform, but most of the big names in the party now have roles or candidacies. Lady Cunningham is going for the London mayor. They have an assortment of mayorships already, then of course their MPs. So who goes for Gorton and Denton? That will be a big decision for Nigel Farage to take. Don't forget the Green Party either. This is a seat with plenty of political leanings in it. They have been on the rise since Zach Polanski became leader. They are a much more serious outfit now. They've got much more cash on hand due to their membership boost. They're in the national conversation a little bit more as well. And I think it's fair to say that this is a potential opportunity for them. The tactical dilemma, some might say, would be that the better they do, the worse Labour does. Do they let Reform through the middle? Would they want that necessarily, especially if Burnham was the candidate? Zach Polanski has said he'd be more open to working with him than Keir Starmer. All of this is to be decided in the weeks and months to come. Now, the political climate might be different by the time we get to a by-election. The writ hasn't been moved yet. None of that official stuff has taken place. It all needs to happen. Then you're waiting 21 to 27 days before then. Financially, it might make more sense to have this by-election on the local elections day. Also, that would probably help hide the result a little bit if Labour were to be beaten. But again, that is all very far in the distance. For now, I think it is absolutely fair to say that not only will those three parties be going for this, but also the vote of the Lib Dems and the vote of the Tories will have an impact here too. Tactical voting has already played a part in some council by-elections. I have no doubt that voters from the Lib Dems and from the Tories will have a part to play here too. So don't forget what happens with those two in this by-election, which looks sure to be an absolute barnstormer.